And now we're finally going to talk about what I came to talk about, which is the APEX program. So the APEX program was founded by a cybersecurity company called NovaCoast. They're the parent company. They're very entrepreneurial. I was introduced to them about 3 years ago and became part of the APEX team to connect the program with the blindness community and all of the resources that we're going to talk about. They run SOCs in the US, UK. They're standing one up in Shannon, Ireland right now. They have a federal practice with 40 or so federal clients. They have a conference business. They run 2 cybersecurity conferences a year called Innovate. They have a staffing division, and they have a training division. And several years ago, they were founded in Santa Barbara, California. They have a SOC in Wichita, Kansas, and they formally moved their headquarters to Wichita. And as their leaders began engaging with the community there, they were introduced to a nonprofit called Envision, which focuses on employment of people who are blind. A sister agency to the Seattle Lighthouse that I ran here, and I'd worked with them many times on great projects. And in talking, learning of Envision leadership learned about NovaCoast and what they do, and they talked about training. They asked, have you ever thought about training blind people to do work in cybersecurity? And they said, no, we have never thought about that. That has not crossed our minds. And then it did cross their minds, and they partnered with Envision, who obtained a grant, a philanthropic grant, and worked with NovaCoast to make their existing training curriculums accessible for people like myself who use screen reading software. And then they worked with Pearson VUE, who administers the CompTIA Network Plus and Security Plus certification tests, to make sure the tests were accessible. And then they set up the program with the State Vocational Rehabilitation Agency in Kansas. And they built it and no one came. So students were not coming. And that's about the time I was introduced to them by a blind friend who had met one of the founders. And I've been engaged with the APEX team since then. And we are set up now with vocational rehabilitation in 24 states, and I'll talk about VR in a bit. So the program was really spearheaded by a gentleman named David Main. There's a nice video at the apexprogram.com website, a 6-7 minute video about David. So he was in a terrible car accident. He lost a leg. Since then has had his second leg amputated, lost an eye, nerve damage in his hands, and he was on disability for 8 years, which means he was getting a very small monthly check from the government and raising 4 kids on his own. And one of his sons, they lived in Michigan, enrolled in community college and started taking a cybersecurity class. And he was so very excited about it and told his dad about it. And David said, I'll enroll. So he went on and earned a 2-year degree in cybersecurity, and NovaCoast hired him, and he became a SOC manager and a hiring manager, and he's really driven this program. And I will tell you that NovaCoast is all in on this. They are passionate about changing the landscape for employment for people who are blind in the cybersecurity industry. So the program is 200 hours of training. The program is really focused on one thing, and that's getting a blind person an entry-level job in cybersecurity so that they can climb that ladder once their foot is on the rung. So it's really designed to be done in 10 weeks if a person can devote 20 hours a week to study. There's a quiz after every section. Program staff, David, monitors it. If people are getting off track or seeming to struggle, there's an intervention. And then the individual would then take the Network Plus and Security Plus certification tests. And again, everything's accessible with screen reading